What's up, y'all? I'm OXO Chef in Residence. I'm Kwame Onwuachi, and I'm inviting you into my home to show you one of my favorite dishes, inspired by this Nigerian street corn. It's charred, so it has all these smoky elements. It's got some pasta, it's got some Scotch bonnet peppers, and we even got a little crab in there to add some sweetness. I know the kitchen can feel intimidating, but that's why I'm here. I'm gonna help you out. So let's get into it. The first thing we have to do is start getting the water boiling for your pasta. So I'm gonna get this pot right here, put it on high heat, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this really cool roasting rack, and we're gonna put this directly on the flame. And we're gonna char the corn. So as soon as you chuck it, just throw it on. You wanna burn it as much as possible. My days are very different, pretty spontaneous. I can be doing so many things, from traveling to hanging out with friends to working on different projects that I have. I'm an author, I have a media company that create my own content, so you never know where the day is gonna go. But there's one thing that's always a constant, is good food. I can't have a day without a great meal. It goes hand in hand. So now that the corn is charred, you don't need it to be charred all over, just the majority of the cob. I'm gonna take this off. Feel free to use tongs. I'm crazy, so I do things a little unconventionally. So now we're gonna work on this corn sauce. And while this is cooling off, I'm gonna start sweating some aromatics for this. So you're gonna turn your heat on medium and add a little butter to the pan. And while that's heating up, I'm gonna cut my onion. I'm gonna slice the onion right in half. Take off the top part of the onion, but leave that bottom part. This is gonna keep it together while you're chopping it. So I'm gonna cut it 3 times horizontally, and then about 6 times vertically. And that's gonna help get me a dice with minimal effort. So it's gonna look like this grid, just like this. And that's how you know you cut it properly. And this is a rough chop, nothing has to be precise. We're gonna be putting all this in the blender anyway. Save these butts for stock. You can always reuse all of this trim. I'm gonna use my knife as a scoop to add right into this sizzling butter. All right, now I'm gonna chop my garlic. Here's a pro tip. You're gonna take your head of garlic and you're just gonna roll it around, and these cloves will just fall apart. Here's another pro tip. Add some salt to your vegetables while they're sweating, and this is gonna release some of that moisture and help it cook a little faster. So take your knife and just smash down on the garlic, like so. And about 6 cloves of garlic. Any recipe that tells you 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, throw it out. That's not a recipe that cares about your happiness. You're gonna make sure you're stirring this. You don't want any color. You just want this to sweat. You want it to be translucent. So make sure you're monitoring your heat and turn it down a bit. So I'm gonna take the skin off of these garlic cloves here, and kind of like that onion, keep that end on so you can use that as a grip. I'm gonna run my knife through this a couple more times, and I'm gonna add this right to that pot. When I'm trying to create a new dish, I always look at the season to inspire me. Corn is something that is in season in the summertime, but there is corn that is frozen at the peak of its season. So try to use the market as your inspiration. Also, I love using stories. I think when a dish tells a story, it has a soul. So look to yourself, look within, look for the people around you to create really spectacular dishes. So now I'm gonna add half Scotch bonnet pepper. Now these are really, really spicy, so make sure you're careful when you're cutting them. And I'm just gonna mince this like so, and add this right to the dish. All right, next it's time to get the corn in there. Now, I have one of my favorite OXO products. This is a corn peeler, and it has a really great grip. It makes it so easy to peel corn really quickly and really efficiently. Look at that, like a surgeon. So you wanna peel this right into the pan. You're gonna apply a little bit of pressure to get all this off. For me, cooking is really a ritual. It's really sacred. I think cooking is always better when you have somebody with you, whether it's in the kitchen or it's just eating. I think I would love to cook with Oprah. I think she'd be hilarious, and her voice is just so soothing. So we're gonna put these cobs directly in here. And I know a lot of people throw these out, but there's so much flavor still in this. So once you have your cobs in here, we're just gonna pour over this cream, and we're gonna let this simmer. All this cream and fat is gonna soak up all this corn flavor. So I'm gonna add some herbs to this now that it's come up to a boil. And not too much, all right? You don't want it to be overpowering with sage flavor. It's gonna get a little soapy. I'm gonna add a little bit of thyme and a little bit of sage to this and let it steep like a tea. All right, so we're gonna make our garnish here. We're gonna make this nice, bright scallion cream. So we just wanna blanch this, and we're gonna take the top of these scallions or green onions, depending on where you're at in the country. You may have a different name for it. And I'm just gonna slice it once like that, and another rough chop, and I'm gonna add this right to this pot. So we're gonna cook it really quickly and then shock it in ice water to stop the cooking process. If I had to choose one meal to eat every day, it would definitely be chicken wings and pork fried rice from the Chinese takeout spot. It's something that just reminds me of home. We have a lot of Chinese takeout restaurants in New York City, so it just feels like comfort. So you can see this has changed like to this nice dark green. I'm gonna shock this to stop the cooking process and set this off to the side to cool down a little bit. You know, when I'm home, I love to entertain, so I always throw these dinner parties. And I like to get people involved. So some people may be chopping, some people may be prepping. Everybody gets involved if we're gonna be eating. I love cooking dishes that reflect my heritage, whether it's a gumbo from Louisiana or it's jollof rice from Nigeria. And this dish takes some inspiration from those places. So I'm gonna dry these out a bit, bring out some of that moisture. So I'm just gonna squeeze them, get that water out, and then lay them on these paper towels. So now I'm gonna boil my pasta, and I love to use this like trumpet-shaped pasta. It can hold the sauce really, really well in between its grooves, and it's just fun to eat. I'm gonna add a bunch of salt to this water, and then I'm gonna add the pasta to here. This is my favorite OXO product. This pop container stores things that are meant to be dry and keeps them dry. For this next process, we're gonna blend these sauces up. We're gonna take the cobs and herbs out, blend it and strain it, and you don't need to see that process. So now that the pasta is al dente, I'm gonna use my squeeze and pour silicone measuring cup to save some of this pasta water and then pour this off. So now let's build our pasta. So I'm gonna add a little bit of this pasta water, and this is a pro tip, you know, there's a lot of starch in here. This is gonna make that sauce really stick to the pasta. So I'm gonna add a couple scoops of this corn cream, this charred corn cream. It's got a little bit of spice on the back end, those smoky notes from the charred corn, the onion, the garlic, it all shines through. And now I'm gonna add one of my favorite ingredients to add to pasta, which is crab. This is gonna add some sweetness. This is gonna cut that spiciness. I'm gonna season this with a little bit of Creole spice and then coat my pasta. Time to plate. And then you're gonna take your scallion cream and just drizzle this right over the top. And this is gonna make it really bright and fresh, just like the color. So here you have it, an everyday corn pasta with crab. Final test. This pasta is like so luxurious, from the crab to the cream, and the charred corn takes me back to the streets of Nigeria. This is a dish you can make every day. So feel free to make your own. Make it your own. Use these skills to elevate your cooking every day. Till next time, I'm Kwame Onwuachi, OXO's chef in residence.